Celebrating 10 years of empowering and recognizing women on the 5th of March, the Forbes Women Africa Leading Women Summit featured over 60 speakers from the continent and the diaspora. The array of strong women from different disciplines and geographic locations shared their personal stories of perseverance, determination, their secrets in overcoming obstacles, building successful businesses and careers, and shaping a new vision for Africa. Delivering the keynote address before the panel discussion on what Visa is doing with their She's Next campaign was Ida Diarra, Senior Vice President and Head of Sub-Saharan Africa at Visa.
In this capacity, she oversaw Visa's business operations in 48 countries and 10 offices in Sub-Saharan Africa. Having recently been named CNBC's Africa's Businesswoman of the Year for 2024, Ida is a recognized leader in the financial services and digital finances industry. Her work is centered on driving widespread digital adoption and promoting financial inclusion in Africa. Under her leadership, Visa expanded its global She's Next initiative to Sub-Saharan Africa, empowering women entrepreneurs with access to educational resources, networking opportunities, and financial support. This program has reached over 19,000 women-led businesses, enhancing their digital capabilities and enabling them to accept online payments, promoting economic growth, and providing secure and convenient financial solutions to communities across the continent.
I'd like to start my note to you by talking about my mother. Those of you who have seen me in different instances know that I have a tendency to talk a lot about my parents, as I believe they've been at the core of what I have become, and they have a ton of experience I can capitalize from. So my mother has had 26 years at UNECA, the United Nations for the Economic Commission for Africa. And she retired in 1998. She was the director in charge of national programs to include women in economic development for Africa or in Africa. So as I was preparing this morning, I just was telling her about the program and how excited, I was to continue to discuss the agenda of empowering women in the economy. And then I realized that I had in front of me someone who had tons of experience, and I began to probe her and ask her about her work. And she began by explaining to me the underlying belief that drove her. It was like, when a woman thrives, it's an economy that thrives, and it's the community that thrives with her. So the first question I asked her was, okay, so what were the key issues you identified as you were, embracing your mission? She mentioned 3 things. She said the first challenge for women was, at the time, having access to information. The second challenge was to have access to resources to kind of build their businesses or grow their activities. The third point that she brought up was specific challenges for women to access markets. So when they were producing, how to access clients, and how to grow their activities. So then my follow-up question to her was, so what was your strategic priorities? What was your focus? She said, we focused on mainly 3 things. The first priority was training. Make sure that they had, the best trainings given the different areas of focus or expertise that they had. The second priority was to mobilize resources to finance, specific projects. And the third one was to lobby with government and make sure that as they designed their strategy for development, they include women in their agenda. So my next question to her was, so what happened? What challenges did you face as you unfold that strategy? Her feedback was, challenge number one was confidence of women in themselves and the lack of networking opportunities and avenues that they had at the time or didn't have at the time. The third challenge that she brought up was, indeed, the difficulty to mobilize resources to support women-led programs. And then the last one that she was a little bit disappointed about was to say the lack of scalability and sustainability of all of these initiatives to drive profound transformation and drive profound impact on the agenda of women empowerment and economic development. Although it's been almost 30 years ago, she's retired, and we've seen some progress. I'm sure that you agree with me that some of the topics discussed then are still very relevant today. Remember when I said, when women thrive, communities and economies thrive as well? This is even more relevant today in today's digital economy. And we need to make sure that we increase women participation in that agenda. And let me give you a few examples, yeah? When we look at internet access today, 30% of women have access to the internet compared to 42% men. When we look at mobile, that is so key in everything we do today, including commerce. There's 13% less women that have access to mobile. The gap is even wider when we look at smartphone. That number is 28% less women have access to smartphones. They also have fewer business opportunities and fewer employment opportunities. And then when you overlay that with the cultural practices and sometimes legal practices, it compounds the challenges that women are up against. In many of our countries today, you still need a man to have access to an ID. If you take my own example, as I attempt to renew my passport from Senegal, my son's passport from Senegal, I can't do it without the approval of his dad. This is reality still today. That said, there's been progress, right? When we look at education today, we look at African university, 50% of students, be it postgraduate, graduate, undergrads, are women when it comes to universities focusing on mathematics, science, technology, engineering. Huge progress there. When you look at entrepreneurship, 24% of new business that are started in Africa are women-led. And when we compare that to the rest of the world, it is a significant achievement. We're leading the way here. From a fintech perspective that is closer to Visa, we also see that women in Africa are leading the pack. Although the numbers are small, we're looking at 3.2% fintechs that are starting being women-led compared to 1.6% globally. That said, the traction is on. And I can't tell you how excited I was when during the last FinTech Accelerator program we organized, we had 65% of enterprises being part of the program being, women-led. So again, the traction is on. I just want to leave you with one number in terms of the outlook if we do a good job at driving women access to the digital economy. 15 billion is what we can anticipate to generate on e-commerce only, as we make sure that we reduce the divide between men and women when it comes to the digital economy. There's still a lot that we need to do from a digital literacy perspective, from an investment and support view as well, and making sure that we enable networking opportunities for women. We at Visa are supporting a lot of programs. She's Next, you're going to hear about it in our next panel. The Visa Everywhere initiatives, where we really, really focus on these young entrepreneurs, women-led activities and programs to support the agenda of diversity and women integration. When we are successful, the results are exhilarating. You will see examples later this morning and later today of successful women in the digital world who have built incredible business and sustainable business in Africa. I want to take the opportunity to thank Forbes for creating that opportunity and forum for us to continue to reflect on what our responsibility is to continue to be the driving force of the agenda of diversity and women empowerment and women playing their fair share in economic development in Africa. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
She's Next. Digital innovation, creating new pathways for female business owners. Lineshri Moodley is the country head of Visa South Africa. With 17 years of retail banking experience, she boasts diverse experience working with financial institutes, MNOs, and fintechs at all stages, designing multifaceted payment strategy from the digitization of payments to innovative, non-traditional and future banking models within SSA. Matebe Ngwenya is the founder and CEO of Beauty on Tap. Ngwenya founded Beauty on Tap in 2015 as a Find a Beauty service. It later transformed into an e-commerce business that retails a range of local and international beauty and self-care products. Matebe was named a future wealth creator by Forbes Africa magazine. She looks forward to her future of continuing to empower African beauty brands. Mpumi Ledwaba, founder of Wisdom and Wellness, best-selling author, speaker, and award-winning podcaster. Ledwaba started Wisdom and Wellness when she was dealing with postpartum depression. Her life work is to help individuals to take care of their mind, body, and spirit, and to navigate all aspects of their wellness. The moderator is Fifi Peters, senior anchor at CNBC Africa.
Ladies, I'm told we now have 15 minutes for this discussion. It's okay. We will accelerate and go through all the salient points, rapid fire style. We're here to talk about how to essentially use these digital pathways to accelerate and also create new ways for business. And I think that a lot of women who are here, particularly those who are starting their own entities, here the fact that if you're not on social media right now, or if you're not on a digital platform right now, be it TikTok, be it LinkedIn, be it all the other platforms out there, that you're not in business. But except a lot of them are finding it quite difficult to also monetize their time there and justify why they're applying so much energy. You've done it in podcasting, a space where everybody's trying to be in right now, but you clearly have the secret sauce. Talk to us about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. Firstly, the secret sauce is that I started when podcasts were still new in the country. So I have time, right? And so for anyone who's entering a new industry, we've already got the time. Myself, MacG's, we've had the time to start out, but also we weren't making money in the beginning. Only 3-4 years later are we making money in the podcast industry, meaning there's other businesses that we're running behind the scenes to fund this online business until the online business starts making its own money.
All right.
Now, to come back to people who feel like if you're not online, you don't have a business. I was telling Matebe backstage that I went on a leadership retreat, and one of the ladies, and she's in a leadership position, and she said to me, Bumi, please take content of me. Pella, we're not good at taking content like you. And I take the content and I say to her, by the way, you know that you can actually just enjoy the retreat and get what you came here for. I shoot content because I actually make money off it, right? And the truth is not everyone is going to make money on social media. But just to add on, also, the landscape of social media changes so quickly. In the beginning, it was about the followers, how much numbers you've got, the engagement. But now it's a community game. And once again, as you heard, I didn't come with a fan base. It's that we've built a community of girl pals where I listen to my audience, I interact, I've engaged with them for over 5 years. I know what their needs are. And so we haven't created a space where, oh, there's this influencer or the CEO, I'm one of, and we're all serving each other's needs. As you heard in my bio, my business started from a place of pain. And so I run my business by meeting a need from a community that's online. So I think for everyone who wants to understand, should I leverage or monetize my business online? It's that question of, is there a pain point that you are meeting online? Otherwise, you can use those resources elsewhere.
Sure. I think that essentially sounds like Business 101 in terms of if you're getting into business, are you providing a solution or offering something out there that doesn't presently exist? If you are, your chances of success, I am told, I'm not in business, but your chances of success are probably a little bit higher. Matebe, chartered accountant turned investment banker, now a beauty entrepreneur, serial one at that. Your thoughts in terms of navigating the digital space to create new pathways for the business and whether everyone should be online?
So I was actually arguing with Mpums at the back saying that I think all businesses should be digitally present somehow.
Okay.
Because if I use any service, the first thing I do is I go onto Google, even if it's a plumber, to see what the reviews are. So some kind of digital presence. And I think people get stuck on being on Instagram and TikTok and those traditional digital platforms. But it extends way to other platforms. There's LinkedIn, there's Google reviews, there's being on YouTube. There's a lot more other platforms that you can be digitally present on as a business, whether it's a service or product that you are selling. For us, I think it was all about what Mpumi said, and it was about building community. And I always say that community isn't just people you're going to monetize from. It's people who share your posts. It's people who talk about your brand when you're not there. It's people who share information about your brand with other people. And so it shouldn't be a thought process of I need to be available on social media because I need to make money and I need to monetize and I need to get sales. People see your video content, they see what you're selling. They could come back in 2 years' time. You know, we have so many people who are like, I can't afford to buy pastry yet, but in 3 years' time when I graduate, it's the first brand I'm going to buy. So that's what community is all about. It's about having people who value your brand, people who speak about your brand when you're not in the room as well. And that's how you can definitely leverage social media to build that community. And I mean, sometimes it's business to business. If it's business to business, you don't have to like shoot reels every single day. You know, you can just kind of have, you know, a graphic showcasing what your business does. So I think you shouldn't kind of get intimidated by the way, you know, social media is going. You don't have to be there with your team doing TikTok dances. I see CEOs doing TikTok challenges all the time, trying to be cool. It's not about doing that stuff, and that's what intimidates people. I think you can just find a way to really position your business in a different way.
Yeah. Because we make a joke of it, but I can tell you that even large entities are really struggling to answer that question as to whether I need to be online or whether I don't need to be. I mean, I'm seeing some of the largest asset managers in Africa, the largest banks in Africa, the largest retailers in Africa that are trying to build up this online presence to relate to communities, as it were. But the pudding is not quite proving. Lineshri, maybe just to give a macro view and a perception on what is going on right now. Because as Visa, I know that you work with quite a lot of businesses, and right now we're talking about companies that are doing well in beauty and in wellness and in perhaps maybe even a bit of hospitality. And we've seen that those kind of businesses tend to do better online than perhaps traditional agriculture and manufacturing entities, as it were. These are businesses that you also work with as Visa within some of your initiatives. So just talk to us about what you've seen and how some of these digital tools have created new pathways for all kinds of businesses, as it were.
Okay, firstly, thank you for having me here today. I think if I just take a step back and to your point, talk about some of the trends, we're certainly seeing a significant increase when it comes to e-commerce as well as digital marketplaces. And if you think about it really, what e-commerce does is it actually gives you a platform that allows you access to customers you perhaps wouldn't have had in the physical space. But over and above that, you know, it gives you access, or it takes away the limitation of geographical limitations, allowing you to get customers from, you know, be it in your country or outside, across different provinces. We hosted She's Next, it's our global advocacy program, and we had phenomenal participants that were in there. We had one of the companies called ePharma, that was looking at building digital marketplaces where they brought together, farmers that sell fresh produce and meat onto this digital platform and enable them to get it out, directly to consumers. So again, really powerful innovation that we're seeing. The second one is about allowing women in business to upskill. And so, digital online courses, I think there's multiple modules that can enable you not to just start up a business, but how do you sustain that business for the long term, also providing digital networking opportunities. And I think the last one I'll talk about, and very resonant with your previous panel, is on AI and how AI is helping small businesses as well. And I think a couple of ways in which AI is doing this is, one, you're able to see the data that is coming through, how the businesses are transacting, what they're spending on, where they're spending it, and leveraging all of this data to enable fintechs and financial institutions to be able to afford loans that, again, allow you to grow and scale your businesses. AI can be used to enable you to have a good understanding of, what is the stock looking like in your business? How do you manage your inventory? Again, what are your spend trends? So we're seeing lots of trends emerge on this. And like I mentioned, when, through the She's Next program, we're seeing a lot of digital innovation come up and women solving for some of the most pressing needs in society,
Sure.
From infrastructure to sustainability, environmental sustainability, and digital marketplaces.
Sure. Mpumi, you hear the innovations around AI or ChatGPT, this, that, and the other. How are you looking at it in terms of what it could mean for your next?
Firstly, I think for us it works because the type of business we're trying to run is a lean business, right? And because it's so community focused and interactive, it's very important that we keep it intimate. And because we are a hybrid model, and it's going back to your question of how the digital world, the advancement is impacting our businesses, is that we're able to bring different models into our businesses that work for female entrepreneurs, for women, right? As women, we're nurturers, and then we put into this industry, into corporate, where men are making the structure. So we can't keep up with that. That's why we're burning out. We can't get our kids from home. So in my business, I've decided to build a model that takes into consideration that we have cycles, we have children, we are building homes. And so how AI is helping is, like you said, we instead of having 5 different people do one different jobs, we have one person who takes on the role of different people. But also, because we are hybrid, on my first day of my cycle, I don't work because I'm not productive, I'm not a genius, and I know this doesn't sound like, geez, what kind of company are you running? But the truth of it is that I can work any other time. I know that my business, the people who work in my team, they work midnight, they work on Sundays, but this goes with the way that we hire as well, making sure that you hire people who are already leaders within themselves as they come into the business. And so, yeah, the advancements has really helped with shaping the structure of my business, the kind of people that I hire, and also also ensuring that we actually have life outside of our business.
Sure. What about the number of people that you hire, Matebe, in terms of AI and what it's doing for your business right now? Is it making you also maybe rethink the number of people that you need for a task before or compared to what was the case before?
I think in South Africa, it's such a balanced view of AI and hiring people, because for me, at the core of my business is hiring people. They always talk about businesses that are giving back, and I'm like, in South Africa, if you're hiring people, you're definitely giving back. So for me right now, AI isn't really positioned as a tool that's going to take over people's jobs, but Beauty on Tap's growth is driven by data collection. I worked in an investment bank, and I think at the time, data collection was the buzzword and how we're leveraging data to be customer-centric. So that's exactly how Beauty on Tap is, and that's how AI is helping us in our business. I think a lot of the skincare industry is very AI focused at the moment in terms of analyzing people's skin. So I mean, we don't need a skin consultant digitally anymore. In store, we have AI skin analysis machines that are run by people, because the people recommending products after that is an esthetician who's qualified. So it's more supportive and assisting the business in growth than it is replacing people, and we're just leveraging AI to get better data and to better grow our business and to be as sustainable as possible. But I don't think for now, for me, it's necessarily a tool that I don't want people walking into Beauty on Tap and having to self-checkout or have robots serve them. I still think that personal touch is really important.
Okay, so we can still knock on your door potentially
Yeah.
then for a job for now. Lineshri, I suppose in terms of addressing the gender gap, and your view on what you think technology will do to either close it or widen it. I mean, I've heard different arguments regarding both. It depends who you're talking to. But do you see it potentially closing the gender gap when it does come to quality of pay and quality of opportunity, of course?
Yeah, so I think when you think about technology developments, you have to think about, one, does it meet the need, and two, how accessible it is. And I think that, I'll deal the second point first in terms of accessibility. I think we have to find ways to make the technology accessible to women. We know that SMEs are the lifeblood of the economy on this continent, and majority of the SMEs are actually women-run. But they still face a lot of challenge in getting access to funding, in getting access to networks, in getting access to mentorship. And I think those are the things that we're going to need to work on in order to bring the access for women to use the technology. And I think the second way that we're going to bridge the divide is meeting women where they are in their, I think you spoke about in the different life stages, and using things like e-commerce, using technology, using AI to enhance what you're doing as another alternative, enables women to still build their businesses, but leveraging technology to enable them.
Okay, thank you. Closing the chapter on this, but of course the conversations will continue throughout the day. More lunch and also the gala dinner later. But wonderful ladies in the audience, so please help me thank the wonderful ladies on stage for their wonderful thoughts. Thank you.